Chesler, speaking on behalf of the affirmative for the legalization of marijuana. Cannabis has provided to be a non-addictive drug. Virtually, it's the same thing as tobacco or alcohol for adults. Marijuana lacks the chemicals that would be added to tobacco products and have proven to be much less addictive than alcohol, say in issues like alcoholism or even nicotine addiction in tobacco products. Marijuana, if legalized, will be regulated and taxed by government, and this will virtually create revenue and monetarily benefit the U.S. So, some key terms that we need to know would be marijuana, also known as cannabis, pot, grass, and this is just dry shredded leaves, stems, or seeds of the cannabis sativa, the hemp plant. Often, recreationally, it's smoked in joints, and this gives a benefit to the brain that allows people to see in a calmer, more perceptive way of the world. Addiction is a chronic, relapsing disease characterized by compulsive drug seeking and used by long-lasting changes in the brain. Dopamine is a brain chemical classified as a neurotransmitter found in regions of the brain that regulate emotion, motivation, and pleasure. Dopamine floods the brain when the marijuana is smoked in, so this will give people benefits, often like it does in sexual intercourse, when eating heavily or doing something that really pleases them. So the government could regulate and tax the drug, and this would accumulate limits. They could regulate it by stating no smoking signs, like there are many public places, or no public intoxication, like with alcohol. There would be an age limit, just like there could be with tobacco, is 18, or if you want to raise that even more, with alcohol would be 21. So virtually this, if we legalize marijuana, this would create jobs by, there's obviously a needed for the plant, so that would be farming jobs, manufacturing jobs. So these jobs would be taxed by federal money, so that would create revenue there. It would also create revenue by just selling it, a sales tax, which is, 6% on typical food in West Virginia and higher on specific products. Also, this would create jail space by taking marijuana dealers or people found with the substance on them. This would create jail space to put, more people. The U.S. is constantly expanding jails or creating new ones just to put marijuana dealers in. Marijuana allows the mind to become perceptive and inventive. It has its users act in calm, rational ways. It also prevents the spread of cancer cells and can detract from some of the pain that cancer patients are going through. Now, in most places of the U.S., this is legal, but sometimes they still undergo a hassle. The U.S. drug laws are preventing the country to economic expansion. Through regulating marijuana for medical, recreational, and industrial uses will promote economic stability by creating jobs and pressuring drug cartel. So, if marijuana were legal, adults would be liberated and it would promote a full freedom. Like I said earlier, you still have to limit adults, whether it be no smoking, no public intoxication, etc., etc. It's typically less harmful than tobacco and alcohol. This research was done by the British Medical Association, which nicotine is much more addicting than the dopamine that is released in the brain. In England and Wales, in 2008, there were 6,627 deaths to alcohol, 86,500 to tobacco usage, and only 17 assisted by marijuana. Alcohol is 390 times more likely to cause death, and tobacco is 5,088 times more fatal than marijuana. If regulated, this would also cut down drug cartel. The UN estimated illegal drugs were worth $320 million in the market. Just like in the prohibition in the 20s, people continued to consume alcohol, and this was easier for minors to access. It came back when alcohol was re-legalized 150% more expensive. We could do this with marijuana and reap the monetary benefits. It's invalid to spend money fighting the cartel when we could take their revenue, we could take their profits and use it for our own, whether it be to pull us from a deficit, more roads. This tax could really, really benefit the U.S. Cannabis alters perception. It calms users, and they typically do not act in violent ways. The government would reap the benefits. It's less addictive, less harmful. It would raise tax money, raise revenue. It would damage the drug market, and it's just invalid to not liberate the adults in their freedom.
You said
I now stand for questions.
You said that marijuana could have an age limit, like alcohol and things like that. But there are kids right now, they're using marijuana at a younger age when it's illegal. Do you still think that they're going to abide by the law if there was an age limit?
Well, that question always stands, whether it be with tobacco or whether it be with alcohol. At our own school, Cabell Midland, we see many students daily with tobacco in their mouth, whether it be walking through school hallways or out on the... I guess you're never going to get things away from kids that they absolutely have. There's always going to be a way, and there's always going to be an enabler. But if we put these restrictive limits on it, that way they know that they're less entitled. They have something they can look, whether it be looking forward to or a must-have. Excuse me.
Do you consider marijuana a drug, and how some people say that it's addicting?
Well, like I said, the dopamine in the brain is what is released when it is taken in. This fact can be taken in whether it be your favorite food or too many desserts, indulgences of any sort, really, even sexual intercourse. Now, marijuana is an herb grown. It's from the hemp plant, like I stated earlier. So, just like tobacco is grown, they're adding chemicals into tobacco to make it addicting. What is left in marijuana is just the herb itself.
Now, you said that at our school, Cabell Midland, you see people with tobacco in their mouths and things like that. Now, do you know people who have used cannabis in a recreational way?
Personally, I have to admit that I do know. I cannot say that I personally know the benefits or risks of marijuana, but I do have comrades who do.
Did you know that marijuana has been linked to higher crime rates in places where marijuana has been legalized?
If this is true, I think that we can minimize the violence by taking out the dealer and putting it in a safer store or something easily accessible to take away that violence.
Okay. My name is Autumn Deal, and I'll be speaking for the negative side of this debate. I'm delighted to meet you all, and I will be presenting the negative side of legalization and marijuana. The legalization of marijuana, and I feel compelled to negate today's resolution by stating that